What's up everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're retaking a deep dive into a topic that's been gaining more and more attention in recent headlines: the evolving landscape of street gangs in Halifax. Now, when you think of Halifax, you probably picture the beautiful waterfront, the historic Citadel Hill, and a friendly, welcoming community. And for the most part, you'd be absolutely right. But like any growing city, Halifax faces its own unique set of challenges, and that includes the presence of street gangs. For a long time, discussions about organized crime in the region often centered on more established, hierarchical groups. But the situation on the ground has been shifting. What we're seeing more of now is a network of smaller, more loosely affiliated street-level groups. These aren't necessarily the highly structured organizations you might see in movies. Instead, they're often composed of young individuals, sometimes bound by neighborhood ties or shared social circles. The Halifax Regional Police and other law enforcement agencies have noted this trend. They're moving away from labeling specific, named gangs and are instead focusing on the fluid nature of these groups. This is a critical distinction because it changes how they approach the problem. It's less about taking down a single kingpin and more about addressing a network of individuals involved in illicit activities. The primary driver for many of these groups is, unsurprisingly, the drug trade. The demand for illegal substances creates a lucrative market, and these groups form to control distribution in certain areas. This competition for territory and profit is often the root cause of the violence that unfortunately makes the news. So, what does this look like on a practical level? We're talking about groups that might not have a formal name or a strict hierarchy. Their membership can be transient, with people moving in and out. This makes them particularly difficult to track and dismantle using traditional policing methods. One week, a group might be active in one neighborhood, and a few months later, its members may have splintered, reformed, or shifted their operations elsewhere. This adaptability is one of their key survival traits. Let's look back a bit to understand how we got here. Historically, Halifax has dealt with crime waves and youth violence before. In the past, there were more clearly defined groups with names that were known to both the public and police. The dynamics have changed due to several factors. Social media, for one, has had a massive impact. It's used for everything from recruitment and communication to posturing and inciting rivalries. A dispute that might have once stayed on the street can now escalate rapidly online, broadcasting threats to a much wider audience and creating a cycle of retaliation. Another significant factor is the changing demographics of the city itself. Halifax is one of the fastest-growing cities in Canada. With rapid population growth comes social and economic pressures. Issues like housing affordability, employment opportunities, and access to social services can create environments where young people feel marginalized or disconnected. When legitimate pathways to success seem out of reach, the allure of the quick money and sense of belonging offered by a gang can become incredibly powerful. It's a story we see in many urban centers around the world. The violence associated with these groups is a major concern for the community. We see reports of firearms, offenses, stabbings, and other serious incidents. What's particularly troubling is that these acts often happen in public places, putting innocent bystanders at risk. This erodes the community's sense of safety and creates a climate of fear. It's important to remember that the victims of this violence are often young people themselves, caught in a cycle that is incredibly difficult to escape. So what's being done about it? It's a multifaceted approach. On the law enforcement side, the Halifax Regional Police have specialized units dedicated to gathering intelligence on these groups and disrupting their activities. They focus on firearms, trafficking, and drug distribution networks. Projects like Operation Hellbender, which we saw a few years back, are examples of major estimated efforts to seize drugs and weapons and make arrests. Police are also increasingly using data analytics to identify hotspots and predict where violence might occur, allowing them to deploy resources more effectively. But policing alone is not the answer. Everyone agrees on that. This is a complex social issue that requires a community-wide response. This is where prevention and intervention programs come in. Organizations across the HRM are doing incredible work on the front lines. Groups like Ceasefire Halifax, for example, use a public health approach to violence. They employ outreach workers, often people with lived experience, who can mediate disputes before they turn violent and connect at-risk individuals with the resources they need. Their goal is to interrupt the transmission of violence, much like you would an infectious disease. There are also numerous youth programs that provide positive alternatives. Community centers, sports leagues, arts programs, and mentorship initiatives all play a vital role. They offer safe spaces where young people can build skills, form healthy relationships, and develop a sense of purpose and belonging that doesn't involve crime. Investing in our youth is probably the single most effective long-term strategy we have. When a young person has access to a good education, a supportive mentor, and a clear path to a stable job, the appeal of a gang diminishes significantly. Another key piece of the puzzle is addressing the root causes. This means tackling issues like poverty, lack of educational opportunities, and systemic discrimination. It means ensuring there are mental health and addiction services that are accessible to everyone who needs them. When someone is struggling with trauma or substance use, they are far more vulnerable to recruitment. Providing that support network is a form of prevention. The city and provincial government have roles to play here, through policies that support affordable housing, create jobs, and fund social programs. Looking ahead to 2025 and beyond, the challenge will be to keep pace with the evolving nature of these groups. As they continue to use technology and adapt their methods, so too must our responses. This means continued collaboration between police, community groups, social services, and all levels of government. It's not an us versus them problem. It's a community problem that requires a community solution. It's also about changing the narrative. The media often focuses on the violence, which is understandable, but it's just as important to highlight the stories of resilience, the successes of intervention programs, and the individuals who have managed to leave that life behind. These stories offer hope and show that change is possible. For anyone watching who might be feeling trapped or knows someone who is, please know that there is help available. There are people and organizations who want to support you. You can reach out to local community centers, youth support services, or crisis lines. Your safety and well-being are what matter most. We'll put some links and numbers in the description below this video for anyone who needs them. In summary, the gang landscape in Halifax is complex, fluid, and deeply intertwined with broader social and economic issues. There are no easy fixes. It requires a sustained, coordinated effort that combines smart policing with robust, community-based prevention and intervention. By investing in our youth, addressing root causes, and working together as a community, we can build a safer and more inclusive Halifax for everyone. It's a long road, but it's one worth traveling. Thanks for watching today. This is a heavy topic, and I appreciate you sticking with me. If you found this video informative, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more deep dives into issues shaping our communities. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, but please, let's keep the conversation respectful. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.